Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for being part of the show. It's still Mixed Grill, and today we told you earlier that we'll be talking about cyber security and youth development, preparing the next generation. We're glad we have someone special, very close, very far and very close. Because Tokwe is Gen Z.
That's right.
I want Tokwe to introduce our guest, and so that we can tell me how close and how far.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So this is me welcoming Mr. Femi Akinyomi, who is an expert in ICT, and most of the time they call them gurus. I see him smiling. When you hear the word gurus, you know this person is has a profound knowledge in technology and AI advancement. So let's welcome on board Mr. Femi Akinyomi. Good morning from here, all the way from Canada.
Hello, Femi.
Yeah.
How are you doing? Good morning.
I'm doing great.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's my.
I am 9 hours behind Nigeria. So
9 hours. Okay.
11 p.m. behind.
Aww.
Yeah.
Okay. Here it's around 8:05. Well, that's good. And can you see now that you are very far, but you are very close? All because of cyber and our internet. And thank God the Gen Z people are really enjoying this system. And we pray we too will enjoy it better than this. Well, today we'll say, can we know Femi more? Can Femi just tell us who Femi is?
Yeah, so most people know me as Femi Greaterheights. I am an information security expert, play across 8 countries, but I am always a person that says I started locally and I reached out globally. So Akure was my first base.
Are you serious?
In short, I did my COS in OSRC.
Oh, really? That's great.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did my COS. Engineer Yikom Logo was my mentor, and that developed my interest in communications. But then I went from communications to cybersecurity, and I've been playing in that space for 6 years.
Okay.
I have been able to mentor a lot of people, and I work for a global organization. Yeah.
Okay, now when we talk about cybersecurity, what actually are we trying to look into?
Yeah, so cybersecurity is I would say is a subset of information security. The broad terminology for cybersecurity came from information security. The whole foundation is that there is information somewhere. That information could be called data or could be called assets, and somebody wants to protect it. So how do you now protect it? If that information goes in the physical space, you will say physical security. If that information goes on the internet, you will say what?
Internet
Cyber security. So that is how cyber security came as an offshoot. In the early years, there was no, in quote, cyber security. It was mostly information security. So cyber security is protecting digital assets, either using different tools or even using best practices and even using human education. Most times we always think of it from computer side, but knowledge and education is also a tool as well. So long and short, that's the baseline explanation of cybersecurity.
Yeah.
Okay, now speaking about cybersecurity, and now that we know that this is about protecting ourselves in the internet space, what are the commonly faced threats that people face on the internet space?
So the internet is how some people will call a hospital. Some people actually would bring a sick person to the hospital, and there are different categories of sickness. So on the internet we have different motives. There are people that are on the internet for visibility, or I just want to be popular. There are people that are using it for, they are in quotes what they'll call daily 2K, right? And there are people that are using it like the media, like OSRC, disseminating. So the common threat is not standard. The common threat is behavioral.
Okay.
It means that there is somebody somewhere that believes that beyond just communicating with Femi, there is something I can exploit from Femi.
Okay.
beyond just, going to YouTube, I could be malicious, in the making. So on the internet is a broad variety of people. We can't lump everybody into one, but then we say the people that come clean, we just call them regular internet users. But the people that come for malicious intent are called threat actors. So if we are differentiating them, is the way we say regular citizen and armed robbery in the broad context in physical space. Same way on the internet. So there are different intents on the internet, and internet. Oh, sounds close.
Word.
Yeah. So the intent defines what the action the person is going to gain from the internet.
Okay.
Some people, gain different things from the internet as well.
Okay. We're trying to talk about the development of our youths, preparing them for the nearest future, and we know when it comes to security and the internet, or maybe frauds on the internet, it goes more to the youths. So what do you think, what have you people been doing as a cyber experts to make sure we have a very clean slate for the nearest coming generation?
Okay, so the effort is on everybody. So I'm going to pick the efforts from category to category. So, for example, when a child is growing up, there is civic education. Means that that child understands his responsibility to the society. He knows that he must not steal. He knows that he must not rob. So that's basic. From home, from school, from religious bodies, they instill into you what you need to do per time. Now you take that behavioral knowledge into going to school, into doing business, even into using the internet. So the government has its own place to play, right? Because there are cybersecurity bodies on the national level ensuring that we have a safer internet. Things like censorship, you understand? Things like dark sites, for example. Now there are companies as well that play their parts, and there are non-governmental bodies as well. So for example, in Nigeria is Cybersecurity Expert Association of Nigeria. They are also part of that non-governmental body ensuring that the cyberspace is secured. Then you have, higher, responsibilities from EFCC, FBI, CIA. Everybody is playing his own part.
Okay.
Even OSRC will be playing his own part through education and knowledge sharing.
Okay.
So it's a mixed effort from everybody and every stakeholder.
So all hands must be on deck to make sure such things doesn't come up. Okay, now maybe we want to ask, what are those things we can call as fraud or that are bad on internet that maybe the youth wants to dabble into?
Yeah, so there are things that are expressly bad, and there are things that are contextually bad. So
can you break it down?
Yeah.
I will break it down. So if I try to break into somebody's social media in the name of, impersonating that person, that is already clear that it is bad. Now, there are people that their intent initially may not that they started in that light. So there are a lot of people that EFCC would pick. So if you go to some countries whereby in even learning about cybersecurity tools, in trying to use some of these tools, you might end up breaking something on the internet. At that extent, your action, even though the initial intent was to learn, was to gain something, was to, approach a new domain of knowledge, you have contextually broken the law somewhere and somehow. So things like, for example, if you try to break into a website, that is unlawful. If you try to hack into somebody's account, that is unlawful. If you try to gain somebody's, shoulder, we call it shoulder surfing, means that when you're at the ATM, right, you are trying to look over that person's shoulder to get his 4-digit PIN. That is unlawful. Those things are expressly, bad. That's why I referred it to civic education, in which sometimes we forget that the adults of today are the youths of yesterday. The basic inculcation of good and evil must have been infused into the society level and into that child's level, so that even when he grows, when he sees evil, he would by himself, without the government, without control system, without the law, without constitution, he will naturally want to fight it. Yeah, the instinct to fight it will be there, even though the pressure from environment might want to impress on that person. So the youth we want to build for the future, we must build them from when they are in primary school. Civic education, knowing what is good from what is bad, and the ethical use of technology.
Since you've taken us far back to civic education, and of course in civic education we talk about family or charity begins at home. What are those, I have a personal question, what are those personal habits we need to cultivate to prevent being a victim of cyber criminals? For instance, what are the dangers surrounding connecting to public Wi-Fi? Because so very many people don't know it's dangerous. Or is it good?
Yeah, so public Wi-Fi, so if you're stuck in the airport, for example, I've been to like several airports, and public Wi-Fi was good in that context. Why? Because the airport provided it. But public Wi-Fi may not all be good, because it can be set up by a malicious person that we call them now adversary in the middle. Means that they stay in the middle, they provide you that internet, you think it's free, and when you connect to it, they have access to your traffic, data, everything that moves from your phone. I don't want to go technically. They have access to it. Now, there are ways to prevent, or to, I would say, have a cyber hygiene. That's the key word.
Okay.
The key word is that most people use the same password for everything. Let's start from there. Okay. You cannot use the same password for everything. We all know that we're moving away from passwords now. We are going to multi-factor authentication. But we cannot still erode the fact that passwords are still important. If you use multiple banks, it's not compulsory you have the same PIN. It's not compulsory you use your wedding anniversary as password.
Your birthday, so, your wedding anniversary.
As harmless as your friends are, if you are using their laptop, log out completely from their laptop. Do not give someone access to your social media. Now, that person might be tempted to go way beyond the perimeter that you have set. Most of the time, all the technologies that man has built was supposed to be built on trust. But what cybersecurity in the modern age is saying is that cybersecurity is saying zero trust. Trust nobody, trust no device, trust no institution. So the baseline for cybersecurity now is that you must have zero trust. As critical as this may sound, as controversial, you are not supposed to give your login details to your husband.
Are you serious?
An attacker may not come. So there will always be the most knowledgeable, spouse. So an attacker may not approach you from your area of strength. They might approach you from your area of weakness, which if you have a person that drinks and talks at the bar, tells all his account number, that is social engineering. There are people that come to you and they try to form relationship with you. Over time, they can build it for 6 months just to get close to you, to get you to send money to them. That is social engineering. They learn about you, they become emotional towards you, and the next thing, it's not about a girl asking you for money. This is pure social engineering. It could take 1 year, it could take 2 years. It could even lead to marriage. So it's that serious. So the principle is, the baseline is zero trust. So if something is zero, if you now want to add, you will keep adding 1, 2, 3. But you must establish that it is a zero trust architecture.
Okay. Yeah, the program is Mixed Grill, and we're speaking with Femi Akinyomi, an expert, a cyber expert from Canada. This is just to tell you that we are far, but we are very, very close. So he's trying to educate us this morning. Now, let me say in Africa, most of the time we worship money. I am sorry to bring up this. We worship money, any little thing. So I think for the youth, because we are saying the nearest generation, what will we have? If we can have it this way now, cyber criminals, we have them all over. Now, in the nearest future, a lot of people want to come home and just say, Mama, I've made it. And everybody starts celebrating. Nobody wants to ask, where did you get that from? So, what do you think we can do? And the best way to have all this money is being a cyber criminal. So what do you think we can do apart from the teaching them morals? What do you think we can do again to curb this?
So in cybersecurity, we call it setting up controls. Now these controls could be administrative control. For example, a law that states if you do this, this would happen to you. That is an administrative control. Policy, constitution, rules and regulations, those are administrative. Now there are technical controls. You'll be surprised that a lot of banks do not have, when I'll use the basic word, grade A security. Now it's not something that any bank will make public, but I can tell you that most banks are constantly under attacks. Hospitals are constantly under attacks because these are areas with valuable data. Now, a person that is, trying to hack into a bank may not be looking for money initially, might just be looking to take hold of their data and will now request for exchange. So we call it ransomware. It means that I'd hold on to your data and I'll force you to give me money. I will not go hack into your bank account, nothing else. It's almost the physical way where people kidnap people. The people they kidnap, they believe that they are high valued assets. Then you exchange them for money. So we can set technical controls. For example, the internet is being curbed in a way that there are websites you go to that has to be tracked. If you go to a pornography-based website or you go to a hacking website, all of those things are tracked. And I think EFCC and the likes, they are really intensifying. I think last year, EFCC raided a building and arrested over 700 people in one building and related it to cybercrime. So, and if you check that number, more than half of the population of Nigeria is below 30. So all of that drive, if there is no job, they have to put it somewhere else. There is a skill shortage and there's a job shortage. But one is linked to another. So when people learn a skill, what they are supposed to do is that they use that skill to make money. Some people use it to go into the labor market. But when you see younger people, they build a skill, especially cybersecurity, it takes that ethical aspect of you, that morality, that if you gain all this knowledge and you're able to pick up Femi's phone and you have the power to get into Femi's phone, or you did not get into Femi's phone. Cybersecurity has it has a dark side. We call them black hats. It means that all what they do is to dig in, get something, and exchange it. It could be ideology, it could be money, it could be anything. So the more we advance as a society, we must put both administrative and technical controls. I can give you tons of tools that organization can put in place, the government can put in place. You'll find out that a lot of databases in Nigeria are not even secured. Anybody can hack into it. Now, how protected is your banking application? There is application security and there's mobile security. It means that a banking app can be secured, but because the app is on your phone, is the phone secured? So there is knowledge, application, and device. So while we apply knowledge, we through all these programs, we say, okay, make sure you do this, make sure you don't do this. But then there are technical controls. There are things that banks must do. There are things that government agencies must do. There are things that universities must do. There are things that even companies must do. Those things are called technical controls. And the baseline is that you must increase the pain that an attacker would go through to gain your data. So we call it cycle of pain. It means that it is impossible for something to be 100% secured. But your role is to make it so difficult that if a person is trying, they will give up. That's security for you. Security is not saying you must be 100%, but you must put enough measures in place that if somebody breaks your first gate, comes into the compound, sees the dog, that's second level. After it subdues the dog, he meets a burglary. It will get to a time that he will be tired. So security is putting controls such that that adversary would either be discouraged or would quit at the end of the day.
Mr. Femi, let me quickly dive back to the administrative control you spoke about. Very many people would say cybercrime is not as heavy or as not as dangerous as it sounds. Just like you say, they would say it is a cyber offense, not as to compare as it is a criminal offense, or some people say civil offense is not as serious as criminal offense. So do you think the government is setting out rules or punishments volatile enough to teach people morals as to regard committing cyber crimes?
In my experience, I would say the government is even one of the proponents of why crime exists. Because if a person knows that a politician will do this and get away, why can't I do mine and get away? If we want to eradicate crime, we must know that while something is called cyber crime, there's political crime, there's religious crime, there is, there's cultural crime, there's crime everywhere. So the energy you would use to chase a Yahoo boy must either be equal or more to the energy you chase a politician. If a politician will go scot-free and a regular Yahoo boy with all the power and the tools, the technical knowledge, it will try its best to also go scot-free. So the culture is not just saying that we should define only cyber crime and say, okay, cyber crime is the most heinous crime. As long as see, so people would say people want to defend cyber crime, but I usually say don't defend it. But do you know what it means to steal 1 billion of people's money and 10 million of those people go hungry to the point that they start going on the streets to find what they would eat, and they will go into vices. So one is a product of the other. If you develop the economy whereby the politicians are accountable, people see that there is repercussion if you steal, they would readjust. The Nigerian system most of the time projects that people can be above the law, that one crime can be more than the other, that if you steal 10 billion, you could get away with it just being in 1 week of cell. So that culture will pass to the lower generation, that if these big guys can steal politically, I might not have that power to be in political space, but in this area I can steal comfortably. So it's still stealing, but if we don't develop that culture of curbing thefts, crime at both higher levels, middle levels and lower levels, it will always be attractive for anybody to get into that space.
So with what you're saying now, definitely the nearest future, the nearest generation is in trouble already with what we have on ground.
So I am mostly an optimist. So I would say there is future for the generations. So when I was in Akure, I started so many communities and I trained so many people, and those people are still in my space till date, and they have the highest of characters that I've used in training them. If we could do that subsets, do that multiple times, do that from when that child is age 0 to age 5, from age 5 to age 10, and we also transmit this in the character of the politicians, the character of our elders, the character of, I watched a video where this kit maker would go around and drop money beside people and do as if he's picking it. For every video, the typical Nigerian will say, it is my money, I kept it there. That is an elderly person. If you are playing at that age, just imagine kids that are watching that skit, they would go in that line. So the way to sanitize the economy right now, to sanitize the future of what we project to children and the youth to come. See, Gen Z it's not the end though. There's Gen Alpha and Gen Beta.
Hey.
Those guys,
They
those guys
they
are
fire.
doubling and quadrupling what Gen Zs are doing.
Right.
They will find better ways to steal if we don't set examples. If a politician steals, if you need to be accountable, be accountable. Every crime, both cyber, physical crime, religious crime, civil, all of that is linked to a society that abhors evil and does not propel justice.
Mr. Femi, I have another personal question. Each time I have an expert like this, I like to learn from them. Also, I realize that when I download an application on my phone, there is always a gateway that is asking for my permission, maybe for my contact or for my pictures or all of that. What is that useful for? Is that really necessary? Do I always have to allow, or is it a norms? So please enlighten me.
Yeah, so in the past, it used to be, I talked about zero trust, right?
Yes.
In the past, it is trust once and trust forever. So if you're using a mobile phone that is from 5 years till this time, you realize that in some application it will say trust only while using this app, trust only one time, and trust once. So what it simply does is that it gives you the ability that for that session, you are only trusting it for that action, but you're not trusting it forever. So that's why a lot of people, you must go to your application, check what is using your speaker, check what is using your microphone, check what is gaining permission to your contacts. If they don't need it, retrieve those permissions from them and go back to zero trust. It still goes back to zero trust. And if you can, use a modern phone if you can afford it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Femi. We are very grateful having you on our show this morning. Mixed Grill, all the way from Canada, a cyber expert, and Akure Indigenous, Abi.
Yeah, I'm from Ondo State.
What part of Ondo State?
Professor Lu Efuwa, Abi. Ó ti yẹ ká fi Yorùbá béèrè question ṣùgbọ́n àkókò ti lọ láàárọ̀.
That's dead on arrival.
Oh, then Kiwa. Oh, Kiwa now. Kiwa.
I am from Okitipupa.
Leo, Baba.
Yeah.
Well, this is how far we can go. Thank you very much, and thank you for being part of the show this morning. The program